Hello, everyone. It's Mayor Monday. Thank you for joining me today. I've got a really special show. Actually, I'm thinking this is more of a follow up show. As you can see, I have our Deputy City Manager, Phil Berm, sitting right across from me. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, Phil oversees our engineering, planning, public works, building and safety, as well as code enforcement and housing. Did I miss anything?
No, ma'am. I think that covers it.
Ma'am? Really?
Yes, ma'am.
It's been a few years, like two, since we originally talked. You had just come on board and you had some ideas, and I understand this is your 2 year anniversary. Did you know that?
I did. I was told that. Yes.
So when I heard you were having a 2 year anniversary, I wanted to go back in time from when you started here to tell us what has happened since you got here. So that's why you're sitting here talking to me today. So this is a surprise for you, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate being invited. Thank you.
But our residents would appreciate an update. You had some very good ideas of what you thought could happen here. And we just had our State of the City on February 16, 2023. And when I thought about the videos that we utilize, Phil, I got to tell you, the majority of them are from your department.
I have great leadership in those departments. And yeah, I was very proud of our team. They did a great job.
So were we. They certainly did. So since those 2 years, let's start with one that's really very popular to our residents, and that is housing. Why don't you give us some changes that have occurred? Because when you came on board, you came out of that developer housing market, and now you're in charge of helping other developers make those housings become people's dreams.
That's a great way to characterize it. I think it's, as we talked about the first time we sat down, I think it's the city's job to become a partner with the development and the business community to get our residents what they need, which in the case of anywhere in California is more housing. Fontana was situated so very well when I started here that I'm not going to pretend to have affected a great deal of change in that, but what we have done is we've got a new planning director in place, Patty Nevins, who is second to none.
Wow.
She's really developed a great team. We've restructured our planning department, so it's set up more for mentoring junior or more entry-level planners to get them ready to work in a city of our size. In the last couple of years, we have entitled and permitted over 2,000 residential homes.
Wow.
So that's a lot. That, in Fontana, average per home, that means 6,000 new residents have a place to live in the city.
Or more importantly, the residents that exist here today have more housing options.
Definitely more options. Yeah, Fontana moved into the upper housing markets in the last few years without trying to apply any form of a judgment on the economy of Fontana. Fontana was always looked at as the alternative if you couldn't afford to live in Cucamonga. That's no longer the case. Fontana is a desirable place to live, and our housing costs and demand are continuing to show that. The most recently, the thing I think I'm most proud of with our team is our planning staff put together an application for a new designation that the governor created last year, an opportunity to become what the governor calls pro-housing designated cities. And we were one of the first 10 cities in the state of California to receive that designation. And that's because of the policies that the council has put in place, a lot of things that we've amended to adjust to the current environment. But based on the direction that the council gives and staff's implementation of it, we're one of 10 pretty prestigious. It's a pretty prestigious designation, especially in its inaugural year. What that means, and not only does it mean it's great for the city to be acknowledged at that, because not a lot of people understand. They hear about all the development activity in Fontana and they just think about industrial and all those things. But our housing population is growing hands down faster than anything else. But one of the things that that designation does for the city is it enables us to apply for special grant programs, special awards throughout the year. For example, right now at Tuesday's council meeting, our housing authority is bringing before council our final application. We're applying for a $1.4 million grant to help with homelessness.
Right.
We only qualify to apply for that because of our pro-housing designation. So very excited about all the things going on in planning. We've built a lot. We're going to continue to adjust and keep things moving forward. So it's been a great experience.
It's exciting to watch, particularly in an environment where we also are working trying to make things more affordable. We're going to have a lot of experimenting going on around here. But what I'm most proud of is that we were one of the first cities that received that designation. And for Southern California, there were only two, and that was Fontana and San Diego. Mm-hmm. The majority of those designations went to all the cities up in the north, the other 8. So this allows us not only the bragging rights, but we can actually put down paper and make people's dreams come true. And with that said, another part of what you've seen in the past 2 years is how you've been able to bring Public Works together with the city engineer and also the Public Works. That designation of how you change that position is starting to really show up. Talk about that.
I think one of the things that appealed to me when I first took this position, and I think one of the things that appealed to the city manager that brought me into the position, was more of a private sector mentality and trying to, we're a nonprofit, and so we're not a for-profit business. We do have to model things differently. And our customers are our residents in our business community. But I think what happens in a lot of public agencies is, for lack of better description, and this is, again, not to shame any other agency, but you get into a bit of stagnation and you just continue to do things because it works. You do things the same way year after year because it works. So I think when you have someone like me that might be willing to disrupt things, people will start looking at things differently, and you get a lot of great ideas and a lot of great accomplishments because of that. I think the biggest thing that we've accomplished in the last few years is restructuring Public Works and Engineering. We used to have a Director of Public Works and a City Engineer. We've consolidated those two departments under Gia Kim, and she is just fabulous. She is a licensed civil engineer. She's very process-oriented. She understands how to get things done. She understands the motivation of the city. She understands Fontana's open for business. So she's working with all of her department managers to make sure that culture comes through in our work product. So under her group are our land development engineering, so they serve our development community, our capital improvement engineering department, which handles all the big city infrastructure projects, and then our public works teams, operations, which is our fleet and facilities and our streets, and then our parks division. There's a different direction, there's a different attitude, and I think optimism.
Right.
Because those guys also feel supported, because she's a great advocate for her team. So I'm looking forward to lots of changes that are going to come forward through that. One of the big changes we did within engineering itself, without getting too deep into the weeds, is moving things like our Public Works Parks Manager, Parks Department, used to facilitate the construction of new parks. Our Public Works Streets Operation Manager used to handle our pavement management process. Well, those are both major multi-million-dollar tasks. We have a whole division in engineering that is built around doing things like that, project management. So we've moved those two things forward, and just by way of example, South Fontana Park, which is going to be grand opening.
That's right. We're going to be announcing that later.
That schedule was because we had a team in place that's used to big capital improvement projects, that park was not scheduled to open for another 16 months. But by moving it into a group that was more experienced in the process, they were able to find ways to expedite the schedule, get the plans done. And then the pavement management is the same, kind of the same avenue. We have now a senior engineer running that project. So it's thought about, pavement management's thought about on a more technical perspective than it probably has in the past.
Right.
So excited about all the changes and the way that Gia's leading that department. I couldn't be happier.
Well, you know, I think 2 years, there has been much done, and I want to thank you because you have really stepped it up and had the alignment to make sure not only that projects are being delivered, but that our staff has the resources. That goes a long way. But now I'm going to do fun time. Okay. Downtown Fontana. There is the one project I want you to talk about because I know when you talk to him about downtown, you see his passion for this great city. What's happening with Center Stage? Everybody wants to know.
I'm not familiar with the name Center Stage. We have a facility called Stage Red.
Is that the
That's-
change? Okay, talk about that.
The quick 30-second, but the council wants a downtown and has been wanting a downtown in a revitalization effort for, from what I understand, 25 years now. That's not going to happen organically. If it was going to happen organically, then it would have happened by now. But there's been a lot of great steps towards it. Over the last 20 years, the PE trail improvements, the Miller Park Amphitheater. A lot of positive steps have been taken to revitalize that area, but I don't think that it was ever kind of pulled together. And one of the first things the council asked me to look at was how to get that revitalization going. And we spent about a year just working with different strategies, workshopping with the council, talking through different ideas. And this past year, that's really started to take shape. And the way it has taken shape is step one is Spoggies. Opening soon.
Very
Well,
soon.
We have a 5-star rated restaurant operator that's going to primarily be doing events and catering services, but hopefully it'll get people used to coming downtown. People have to make that part of their habit in order to make it
Right.
successful. So having Spoggies down here, people will be coming to weddings, they'll be coming to parties, they'll eventually see what's going on downtown. It'll become part of the routine. And then hopefully Spoggy, they'll be successful enough to start opening up for lunch, breakfast, dinner, and we'll have our first white tablecloth restaurant in downtown.
Right.
Step two was the theater, which you just called Center Stage Theater. It's a great asset that the city acquired 20 years ago, spent a lot of money rehabbing it, making it modern. And when I came on board, the council's direction was we want to make this facility to gather our population. And the median age in Fontana is 33. So there was a great operator hosting events there on a regular basis for the last 15 years, and it was very successful, and kudos to that group. The council gave me the idea they wanted to go in a different direction. They wanted to turn it into more of a live entertainment venue. So worked on lots of different concepts, talked to lots of different people, had FaceTimes with some celebrities that people run into every now and again. And reached out to a lot of them, and then finally came to grips with the fact that the most famous person from the city of Fontana is a guy named Sammy Hagar.
Imagine that.
And Sammy, fortunately, is at that place in his life where it's not about the money, it's about the music, and it's about the fans. He's touring now, not because he's trying to make dollars, he's doing it because he loves playing music and he loves entertaining his fans. So we caught him at the right time. We reached out to him with the idea of, hey, we want to do something to honor your legacy here in Fontana. And long story, 6 months of conversations and agreements later, the council agreed to rename the theater in his honor, and he has agreed to come and perform annually for a period of time.
Imagine that.
And as important as any of that, he's given us access to his team. And I don't know if everybody knows much about Sammy Hagar other than Van Halen and Chickenfoot and The Circle and Montrose, which are all the bands, and himself not driving 55. If you're not familiar with him, or if you're only familiar with his music, Sammy Hagar is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the entertainment industry. He has launched spirit brands, developed his own tequila, has several restaurant chains that he has founded, Cabo Wabo. He's just an incredibly brilliant entrepreneur. The team that helps him do that is the team that we've now retained to help us redo in what's now called Stage Red, in honor of the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar. So I'm just so excited. We're working with his touring manager, his architect, his branding agent, and we're really rewriting what that venue is going to be. And effectively, we're looking for icon status. It's a 300-seat venue that will house acts that are used to playing in 30,000 seat venues. So we're making it special. It's being done right. And hopefully we'll be ready to grand open early next year. And the next several links are we're going to be working with multifamily developers to get some dense apartments in downtown.
Right.
You need bodies that live downtown that can patronize downtown. And we're working with office developers, and we're going to create our own little office market in downtown. So the council creating the vision, giving us the latitude to find these things out, to put these things together over the next 2 years. And it is finally coming together. We're actually already getting contacted by restaurants and microbreweries and those guys that want to move downtown based on all the things that are going on. So I think over the next 24 months, you'll start to see some vertical construction that's going to change your idea of what downtown Fontana is.
I think you're going to see it in actually 16 months.
Okay.
You know, always
Yes,
make
ma'am.
it closer.
Yes, ma'am. If you say 16 months, we'll have it in 16 months.
Well, Phil, thanks so much for joining us today on Mayor Monday. It's important that everyone know what is actually going on. You're going to see some movement very fast here. There's fences going up already around the city, and we're just excited. But the excitement has to be where we share it with all of you, and that's why Mayor Monday is so important. We don't want to do things and you don't know about them. And we want you to really pay attention to our website so that you can keep yourself updated and know what's coming. Well, in this line, we also give you activities coming up, but I tell you, this is the biggest event. On March 4th at 8:30, we are opening up our new South Fontana Park. And I will be the first to say, promises made, promises kept. Started this project in 2010/11, and here we are today, another large park for our great citizens. So every part of the city has been hit. We have Fontana Park up in the north, Central City Park in the central area, and now South Fontana Park. So join us on March 4th at 8:30 a.m. You will not regret this party. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Mayor.
And as we always say, Fontana together moves Fontana forward.